Can a tiny device like this change the way you listen to music? Let's check this out. Dave Taylor here, and I listen to a lot of music. Whether it's headphones, speakers, or earbuds I'm auditioning, I'm always listening to music if I'm awake. And I listen to a wide variety of music, from classic rock and roll to jazz to playlists on Spotify. Whatever it is, I'm generally plugged into some sort of device and listening. And that's where this is an amazing addition to my portfolio and my setup. This is the FIIO BTR3 Bluetooth Amplifier. And it's basically, to describe it simply, it's a Bluetooth receiver. And what that means is you can take headphones like these wonderful biodynamic Amaron headphones, and you can actually plug them in, because these are just wired headphones. They don't have any Bluetooth, no circuitry in them. It's just all about the music reproduction. But I can plug them in to the FIIO BTR3, and now they're Bluetooth friendly. And not only is it Bluetooth friendly, but let me just say, this is an amp and it supports a ton of codecs. A codec is actually how your device, whatever device it is, sends music via wireless connection to the receiving unit. So what you want is you want devices that support a wide variety of codecs, because there are lots of high-end versions that give you much better sound, and this supports all of them. So let's start with the chips inside. This is powered by a CSR 8675 Bluetooth chip, which gives you 24-bit transmission and 120 megahertz DSP. In addition, and it's okay if you don't fully understand this, I'll come back to it in a second. The DAC, digital analog converter, is an AK4376A, which means it has minus 107 decibels of distortion and 124 decibels signal to noise ratio. What this means is, in this tiny little device is some really powerful and sophisticated circuitry that gives you really, really amazing sound. Now, it's also powered by a 300 milliamp hour battery, which sounds pretty small if you're used to telephone batteries, but turns out that a 90-minute charge goes from 0 to full, and that gets you 11 hours of playback time. Now, it might vary a little bit depending on the volume and complexity of your music. We've talked about that before in my other videos, and you are a subscriber, so you know what I'm talking about, right? If not, click subscribe, do it. And charges via USB-C. In fact, let me give you a quick tour of the device. So it is a little clip-on device. It is a very nice clip that feels like it's going to work 50,000 times later, which is very unusual. And then on the bottom, you have the 3.5 millimeter jack for your headphones, or I suppose you could plug a speaker into this. And not only that, you can plug this into your car. If you have an AUX in, plug this into your car, and now you have Bluetooth, and it's going to sound way better than the default Bluetooth that you would have on your car circuitry. So this is interesting just from that regard. Next to that is a USB-C connector, and that's how you charge it. And you can also plug it into your computer, but that doesn't really make sense. It's just charge this thing and run with it. And then on the side, let's see, on two sides there ain't nothing. And then on the one side where there's all the controls, it ends up being basically like a 3-button inline controller on your Bluetooth headphones, but all sort of organized differently. So there's power, and then there's the multi-function button, which lets you do things like go into pairing mode, and then there's volume up and down. Now notice just below the power is a teeny tiny little microphone icon. That's because this also gives you the ability to make phone calls and use it as a microphone. So if you think about like these classic headphones, then there's no way to make a phone call. If I have these plugged into my phone and a call comes in, I have to take them off, unplug it, do all this sort of hassle. So with the BTR3, this gives me a microphone. And so if I have it clipped here, I can make phone calls. Now, the sad news is I tested that out, and the people at the other end kept saying, can you just switch to your regular phone, please? So was not actually doing great as a microphone, but honestly, I don't really even care. This does such amazing stuff to your music that it's a total win anyway. But if you care, the built-in microphone does have CVC noise canceling, so in different environments perhaps, or with a different voice tone, maybe it would work better. It's something you might want to experiment with. Also supports NFC if you have a phone that supports that, then that just makes pairing easier, but it pairs super quick. Once you have it paired with a device, you turn this thing on, and by the time you've got everything hooked up and ready to go, you're ready to go. So that's really nice. Now, let's talk about those codecs. But before we get there, I just want to point out that the name lights up. This is a glass screen on the front. It is not a touch screen, unfortunately, but it's also a fairly inexpensive device. So, you can roll with that. But what happens is that FIIO shows up in illumination, and it's different colors based on which codec it's paired with your device. And the codecs it supports, it's very impressive. AptX and AptX low latency, those come out as purple. Here's an example of that. AptX HD is yellow, don't have an example. AAC, which is what you would get from your iPhone and your iPad. AAC is cyan. And then it gets into some more obscure ones. So then LDAC is a Sony 24-bit codec, and that shows up as white. SBC is a low complexity subband codec, and that one comes as blue. And then finally, LHDC, which I definitely couldn't test, is the Huawei low latency HD codec. And that one, you would get it to be green. So pretty cool, actually. And so I tried it out with all these different devices just to see what it would pick. And on my iPhone, this is an iPhone XS. No surprise, it picked AAC, which is the correct choice. On my Samsung Galaxy S8, it picked AptX. That's the correct choice. And then on the Google Pixel 3 XL, it was kind of interesting because I think it picked SBC, and I don't really know why. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I think it picked LDAC, which is the Sony 24-bit codec. Now, you can go online, and there are huge discussions about which codec is best. So I encourage you to check that out. I am not going to make any judgments here because I know someone will disagree with me, but I was really surprised that this wasn't AptX HD, and I'm not sure whether that's something I have to mess around with settings to get it to choose, but your device should hopefully pick the right one. And by the way, when I use this with my MacBook Pro, the Mac actually understands AptX, which is great. And the reason you want these better codecs is because you get just really amazingly better sound. It's like going from little AM radio where you have this very narrow bandwidth and everything just sounds tinny and small. Even on really nice speakers, AM doesn't sound great, right? And then you go to FM and suddenly there's a more expansive sound. Well, with a good codec and with one of these devices and with some solid headphones like these Amerons, you will be shocked at just how beautiful your music sounds. I was listening to songs that I've been listening to for years, and they sounded just great. Huge sound stage, beautiful tone, really crisp, and a sort of technical playback, really precise. No, awkwardness, no tinniness at the high end or shrillness or brightness. And the low end was well defined, but gave me a lot of bass. And again, this is really where you want to have good headphones too. And being able to take any old headphones that you've had forever and plug them into this, and now suddenly you're enjoying Bluetooth with a great codec. This is a no-brainer addition to anyone's library or anyone's kit if they really are enjoying, if you're the kind of person that really wants to hear the detail in music, this is a great addition. I am a huge fan, and I am so much a fan that this is now going to be a permanent part of what I travel around with, because even I have Bluetooth headphones that optionally can be regular headphones too. If I actually wire it and then plug it into this and then use this to connect to my phone, it sounds better than its own Bluetooth circuitry. That's pretty cool. Now, before I tell you the price, and then as soon as I say the price, you're going to want to go and buy one. But hold on, before I get to the price, let me just ask if you can click on that subscribe button. It's down there in the corner. It's super easy to do, and I really appreciate when you subscribe to my channel. Cool. Now, the FIIO BTR3 Bluetooth Amplifier will cost you a mere a mere $69.99 at Amazon.com. Now, I will warn you that when I was on Amazon looking at the listing for this, the reviews are very confusing. And I looked at the dates of the reviews, and I think what happened is FIIO has multiple Bluetooth amps. Over the years, they keep refining it. This is their latest generation, and the reviews are mixed. So some of the reviews are for previous generations of the product. So for example, there were reviews I saw that said doesn't support AptX. And this is like, well, this most assuredly does, but an earlier generation didn't have that support. Another one said that AAC was missing, and it's just like, oh, well, but AAC is definitely in here because I used it. So be wary of those reviews if you're looking through those before you make a purchase decision. Not a bad strategy, but look at the date of the reviews because I think they're all mixed up and that's confusing. Be that as it may, the BTR3, I am a huge fan of this. This is a fantastic little device and I am just absolutely sold on it. And I encourage you, if you are an audiophile or just really enjoy really good sounding music, then this is going to be a great addition to your kit. And with that, I am going to get back to my music. So hang on, let me just plug in the other end. And, you know, this has some limited controls on it, but I'm not going to use it for the controls. I'm just going to clip it onto my shirt like that. And I'm going to go back to my phone and I am going to press play, which means, there we go. I will just catch you in my next video.